quick cutting, we know Roger Moore isn't doing that stunt, but when it's an unbroken take, we think, maybe this happened, maybe they really pulled this off. Is that the appeal?
I feel bad that Roger Moore's getting a kicking now.
Yeah.
Let me just say, I should love him as Bond as a kid.
He did his best.
I think there's a thrill in that. Whenever something, the thing is, I mean, I'm sure this is the case when you did your long takes on Children of Men, and I've done like extended takes, more in Shaun and in World's End, is also you get a buzz from the crew. Like, everybody gets really invested in the shot because they can see it happening, and if you do a sequence that's in one take, you'll notice that everybody gathers around the monitors. It's like, did we get it? Does it work? And there's a real thrill in that because it's actually something where it really is in camera.
Yeah.
You know, so I think that's why it's kind of exciting to do. And I think because audiences now are very kind of aware of how films are made and like how you can, you know, with quick cutting, it's obviously not somebody doing it, or, you know, you even have face replace now where digitally you can change people's faces, and you see that in a lot of action films. So I think when there's stuff where it's clearly done in one take, people really respond to it. And I think Alfonso's absolutely right. It's about the actor absolutely has to sell it. And you know, Buster Keaton was like a master of like physical comedy, but almost the most impressive thing that he does is in these amazing stunts is have a poker face. You know, because I would not have that face if I was doing a stunt.
Yeah, but the other thing I think is, and for me, those shots they work when you don't think about them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, in which you're just partaking with one experience. And I think one of the keys and why people, even in comedy, like the stuff of your film, of the dance, is that people have a sense of real time.
Yeah.
Whenever you cut, even if you're not conscious of the cut, in the back of your mind, you know that time is being manipulated. And when you do a single shot, that's the thing. I mean, you're just absorbing everything in real time, and your engagement with that changes because of that.
But I think it has to be, I mean, those things have to be, I think Children of Men is a great example of it, where it has to be couched in a certain kind of tone. Because you do see movies occasionally where, like, the director will be like, I'm going to do the long take. And it doesn't feel of a piece, doesn't feel cohesive to the rest of the film.
Stands out.
I think what was extraordinary about Children of Men was that it just flowed very naturally, and the entire attitude of the film was visually based on that sense of real time and that grounded sort of temporal space, which was pretty extraordinary.
I tend not to realize right away. You said it's better when you don't notice that it's a you know.
No, it's optional, but it should not be
In your case,
optional.
In your case, I remember watching that, and it gets to a certain point, and something goes off in your mind. Toward the end of it, where you realize, oh, they've never cut away. And that's how I felt watching the fight scene that you were describing, which one element you didn't address is it's in a very small space. It's in a men's restroom, so you have a dozen people.
There's 12 people in there.
Fighting in a small men's room, bashing each other into the walls and urinals, and tearing each other apart. That closed atmosphere, and it really adds something to the fact that, oh, they haven't cut away, that this is all going on at one point all together.
Yeah, and then there's other things you can do with that as well. It's also in the scene, we never flew out the walls. We sort of made a full wall and just stayed within it.
Mm-hmm.
So we actually didn't even have a Steadicam. We had like a handheld 35 because the operator is right by there. So that's the other great thing. Doing those fight scenes is always kind of fascinating because it's not just choreography for the actor, it's also the camera operator has to be in the right place so he doesn't get hit in the face. So it's fascinating doing those things, but there's lots of elements you can add to it because I think, you know, modern audiences do know how things are put together. So if you can make it feel as realistic as possible, it gives it like real.
Did Nick do his own stunts in that?
Yeah.
I mean, it felt so real, and seeing him plow through those guys was so fucking fantastic. It was.
Mark, it says clearly don't swear.
Oh. That's right.
But he is talking about my film, so it's okay.
I do that. Sorry, I apologize. It won't happen again. Very good time.
No, Nick Frost did do his own stunts.
And they all did. And you can feel it. It makes that scene so alive.
It's a fun thing to do. I mean, it's a fun thing to do, and I think you can only do it if you've got actors who are really. And the thing is it comes down to music as well. If somebody's a good dancer, they can be a good fighter because it is all about sort of choreography. well, you were saying you've got to then you've got on top of that, you've got to learn the moves, but then you've got to like sell the performance, so it doesn't just look like
You can't see it.
3, 4. You can't see it ticking over in their head. But it was a really fun to design these fights with like, you know, there's lots of limbs and heads coming off. It's like, rated R.